He's an experienced Chinese medicine doctor and had a well-established clinic in Beijing, but now he's been forced to flee the country. His name is Zhao 4 Zhong1yuan, and he was doing what a doctor does, treating patients. But what makes him different is many of his patients are Chinese human rights lawyers.
These are human rights lawyers. They are the backbone of Chinese society. Their one and only goal is to change China from a country under the rule of man to one that's under the rule of law.
These lawyers, his patients, have defended the various victims of the Chinese regime's human rights abuses. Their cases include religious groups like Falun Gong practitioners and land-seizure victims. But after defending the groups, the lawyers themselves also became targets of the regime's suppression. In 2014, 4 lawyers visited a detention center in northeastern China, seeking the release of illegally detained Falun Gong practitioners. Instead, the lawyers were arrested and tortured.
They have a total of over 20 broken ribs. For Tang Zhitian, both his front and back ribs were fractured. I saw their x-ray images. The images police showed them had no sign of injury, but when they did the examination on their own again, after they were released, every one of them had injuries.
他们自己出去一照片子，全出了问题了。
1 year later, in July 2015, about 300 human rights advocates in China were rounded up and interrogated across the country. Many of them had their license suspended, while some were detained or sentenced to jail. The event became known as the 709 crackdown. Among those imprisoned is Beijing-based lawyer Li Heping, who Dr. Zhao personally treated. Li suffered a severe leg injury because he was forced to stand in a military posture every day for 3 months. He told Zhao that police followed him everywhere he went, including the restroom, and controlled every detail of his life.
For example, if you feel itchy on the face and want to scratch it, no, you have to ask for permission first. Report, I need to scratch my face. The police would respond, where? Left side or right side? Left side. Then you are allowed to scratch the left side for 1 time. If you scratch even 1 more time, they will hit you.
Another lawyer Zhao treated, Jiang Tianyong, was severely beaten and couldn't move for 3 months afterward. According to a Human Rights Watch report, other means used to torture rights defenders included sleep deprivation and forced medication. Zhao said his friends also experienced this. Zhao met with several human rights activists online about a decade ago when the head of a Chinese village who was defending land rights died in a suspicious accident. Zhao was the first person to pay him a visit. The trip resulted in his first police interrogation, but also earned him a group of friends who are similarly pursuing democracy and freedom in China. His clinic in Beijing later became a gathering place for like-minded advocates. After the lawyers were released from prison, they came to him for help and received more than physical treatments.
Once they came to my place, they can now see their like-minded friends. Many of those they know before being imprisoned, and they can communicate with each other. Then they have that sense of safety again, and it would alleviate their anxiety.
While he shared their pain, Zhao was also inspired by the lawyers' courage. In 2015, after the crackdown, very few lawyers were left. Even fewer dared to defend the first lawyer arrested in the roundup, named Wang Yu. But Li Yuhan, an over 60-year-old female lawyer, came to Beijing and immediately took the case. At the same time, she prepared for the worst.
She signed the forms and told the person meeting her, if something bad happens to me, please help me find a lawyer. Think about it, she knew she would be arrested, yet she took Wang's case without hesitation.
She was arrested in 2017 and charged with what the regime called picking quarrels and provoking troubles. She's been in jail since then. As for Zhao, Chinese police had repeatedly harassed him and closely monitored his clinic. Authorities also suspended the medical license for his clinic in 2016, since the families and supporters of the detained human rights lawyers often meet there.
First, they cracked down the media. After the media, they started clamping down on lawyers. After the lawyers, they suppressed those who support these lawyers and the people who supported those at the front line standing up to the regime. One group after another. It's systematic.
In 2019, police interrogated Zhao for the third time after they learned about a lawyer's plan to go to him for treatment. Zhao was handcuffed in a dark room alone for 3 hours. The incident is what prompted his escape to Canada. He and his wife moved there together, leaving his sister and 94-year-old mother behind. Zhao said he no longer has nightmares about being chased by police. He says he hopes the international community will pay more attention to and support those who are still tirelessly defending human rights in China.